Welcome to my garden. It's a beautiful morning, and I thought maybe we could do some yoga together out here by the fountain. So, today we're going to do a nice generalized flow practice. It is a morning, as you can see, the sun is rising behind me. And so it's a good time to kind of get everything moving and kind of set the tone for the day. So I'm going to start in a seated position. I don't know if you can see, I'll just turn the computer down for a second. I've set myself up with a block and a blanket today for my seated work. So you may want to do the same. You want to make sure when you come to your seat that your hip joints are higher than your knee joints. And if sitting on the ground isn't really going to work that well for you today, then why not use a chair? There's so much that we do that we can incorporate a chair. And sometimes the posture becomes deeper and more meaningful when you start using props that way. So please do not hesitate to use a chair for this opening centering if in any way that will help you to achieve a better alignment through the spine. So I always have my cup of tea going in the morning too. I'm a really big fan of red tea or rooibos tea. And this one my girlfriend got me, it's vanilla flavored. So it's a good way to get going in the morning, nice hot cup of tea. So taking our comfortable seat, hooking the sitting bones right over the edge of the block or the blanket so that you feel as though your pelvis is kind of tipping forward just a little bit. And you can do a couple rocks just to kind of find that movement so that the bumper bones, the bones at the front, I always call them bumper bones, they're kind of pointing down towards the floor. They're not up towards the sky. And it makes sense to take some time to set your seat up properly because so much of our awareness, so much of our strength will be flowing up from that area in the body. So if we don't have good alignment through the pelvis, through the lower parts of the spine, then we'll find we're straining and working more, say, in the shoulders or the neck. And that can lead to tension even in our yoga practice. So that's why I like to talk a lot about the alignment of the pelvis in the lower part of the spine. I'm going to close my eyes just so that I can center into this beautiful morning. I'm going to start breathing in and out through the nose. This is a great time in your practice to set a bit of an intention. For me this morning, my intention is going to be to go with the flow. I tend to be an obsessive planner, and during our current reality, it's very difficult to plan. It's very difficult to control the environment, even when we're doing these classes together. My dog wanders in, my neighbors have motorcycles. You know, you never know what the weather's going to do. So it's really hard for me to just let go into the flow. And so this is a matter of learning to trust. It's a matter of learning to understand that there are greater forces at work here and that I can work in alignment with them if my intention is very clear, and things will go okay. Things will be all right. My late dad always had a saying, these things have a way of working themselves out, and he was inevitably right. So my intention this morning is to go with the flow. So I'm going to take my hands together at my heart. I'm going to take a couple breaths to get started here. And I think what I'll do is I'll just take the arms and I'll lift them up towards the sun and then bring them back down in this prayer-like gesture at the heart. And I'm going to do that 3 times. And as I do that, I'm going to really think to myself, letting go into the flow, trusting the universal energy to guide me and to support me in my intention. So here we go. We're inhaling, opening up to that universal energy, and then exhale, bringing that trust into your heart. 2 more times. And I'm holding here, maybe the chin is bowed towards the heart slightly. And in our movements this morning, we can think about more leading with the heart rather than the head. And this is a physical practice. So often we take our heads into position before the rest of the body. So today we'll really focus in our flow on having our hearts positioned first. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's do a few more easy movements here from seated. to prepare for a bit of a flow. Coming back to the pelvis, coming back to the sitting bones in your awareness, maybe coming back to a sip of tea too. You're going to take an inhale and rock forward on the sitting bones. And then take an exhale and rock backwards on the sitting bones. So backwards and forwards. It's like I'm sitting on a rocking chair. Notice my head's not moving. My shoulders really aren't moving. But I'm really getting some movement in the lower back and the pelvis. Try that a few more times. It's really going to warm up that energy at the base of the spine. Start to integrate your core movement with your breath. Really prepare us for flow this morning. My last breath here. And let's move into something a little bit different. On the inhale, take the arms up. And on the exhale, flow to one side. Inhale up. And exhale, flow to the side. So I'm trying to keep both of my sitting bones well grounded into my props, be it sitting on a chair or on the ground. And let me show you something you could do if it's not comfortable or healthy to hold your arms up. You could just have your hands on your hips and keep working the movement. Let me show you something else you want to try to avoid, and that is dropping your head all the way over and not really stretching your body that much. So keep your head up, but stretch your body. Again, we're trying to work into the body, not so much the neck. So in other words, you might keep, if your arm's coming up like mine, you might keep your ear and your upper arm kind of close together. There you go. And I think that's an equal number from side to side for me. For those of us who are sitting cross-legged, you might want to just change the cross of the leg. Notice I didn't use my arms to pull my body into shape. I want to try to strengthen my hip muscles. I'm always working on that. So if I move the legs without pulling on the arms, then my hip muscles are getting stronger. And then let's come into some easy twisting. So if you're sitting in a chair, it's exactly the same. Just try to make sure your legs are aligned in a vertical way and that your legs don't windshield wiper as your body twists. So you want to keep steady in the pelvis. And this is more about the middle part of the body. So inhale, be nice and tall. Exhale, gather the belly muscles in and twist gently to one side. Inhale back to center and exhale to the other side. Let's do that each side one more time. These are not the deepest twists that you can do. And notice I'm not twisting with my head. I'm twisting with my rib cage, my shoulder girdle, but my head could almost look straight ahead. I'm not moving first with my head. Let's take one more breath just to kind of absorb these opening movements and realize how we're starting to liberate the spine, liberate our breath, and get ready for some flow. Okay, again, I'm going to come to standing. If you're sitting on your chair, shift forward on your chair. Try to stand up, no hands. And I'm going to try to do that from here too. Just stand up, no hands. And again, strengthening those hip muscles all the time. Always thinking about that. I like to have some padding for my knees. So I'm going to place the blanket on my mat, right about the middle of the mat. And that helps me during my flow so I can have some padding for my knees. Before I get started in my flow, I'm going to grab my block. And my block is going to help me find my first mountain pose. And then I'm going to try to bring the memory of these hip muscle engagements into my flow. In my younger days, when I was really interested in opening my hips and I was really pushing hard to get more flexible, I didn't really think about the structure of the poses. It was just the end pose. How deep could you get? How close could you get to your foot or whatever? Now I'm really interested in bringing better balance, more strength. So I'm going to use the block in between my thighs, just for a couple breaths here. And I'm going to press my feet into the ground, all four corners of the feet, so you know I mean the big toe mound, the baby toe side of the ball of the foot, and then either side of the heel. I'm going to press all four corners of each of my feet into the floor. Give my knees a little unlock. My flexible friends have a tendency to maybe push their knees really straight. And then imagine someone's pulling the block out from behind you. So there's a movement like this with the thighs. The thigh bones are internally rotating. What that's doing is it's firing up some of the stabilizing muscles in your hips. I'm just going to, you can stay right where you are, but if I'm just going to turn sideways, and you might be able to see that there's a dimple here now. My flesh actually starts to go in as I contract the muscles that help to really stabilize my hips. So you want to hold that maybe for 2 or 3 nice, deep, regular breaths, and just feel that sense of wrapping around the whole pelvis. We're going to take that with us even into poses like lunge, because we want to really make sure we contain the natural flexibility that we have in the hips and stretch the parts that are tight or that aren't as responsive. Okay, let's come to the front of our mat. We won't need the block for a minute now. And let's come into our first sun salutation this morning. So from the front of the mat, we might draw the hands together at the heart and recall our intention. And for me, it was to go with the flow, to allow the class, to allow the day, even my whole life, to unfold a little bit more organically. And then when you're ready, we'll gather energy and lift to the sun. And then exhale, soften the knees and forward fold. This is our first one, so don't go too deep. Inhale, lengthen. And I just want to stop here and just talk a little bit about this pose. It's got something to do with that head. And sometimes what I see, I'm just going to come back so you can see a little bit better. I see with people is they lift up kind of lazily with their body, but crank their neck up. Can you see how that's not, it's not a really nice linear line through the spine, and there's a lot of kinking in the neck. So what we want to do is we want to lift up with our bodies. So lift your chest up, and then just keep your neck in line with the rest of your spine. See how now you have that nice straight line through the back? That's what we're looking for. So let's inhale up halfway like this. And then exhale, take your hands back down to the ground. You could also be using a chair and putting your hands on a chair here so you don't have to drop your knee to the ground. And we're going to take that left leg back into our first lunge and drop it to the floor. So if you're using a chair, your hands could be up on a chair and you don't have to drop the back knee. And then when you're ready, we're going to take an inhale, and you would lift up just the left arm if you need to hang on to the chair, or both arms. And then as you exhale, take the hands to the heart. Inhale, lift the heart up a little bit taller, not the head, but the heart. And then exhale, twist towards the right. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. Again, you could be using a chair and your left hand could be staying on the chair if you need a little help with balance today. Good. Let's take one more inhale, lifting the arms as much as you feel comfortable, and exhale, coming back into the table pose. Inhale, lift the chest. So again, I'm going to pause here for just a second and just kind of show you what I mean about this head thing. A lot of times when people do this pose, they lift the head. They're looking up, so they think they're doing cow pose. But I want to talk about a whole spinal extension, not just a neck crick here. So I want to really soften through the elbows, lift the chest up and forward through the arms, really extend the whole spine. So see, I'm really not looking up that much, but my whole spine is smiling, hopefully, from your perspective. So this is our inhale, whether you're on your hands and feet or hands and knees, whether you're using a chair or not, this is the smile on the inhale. And then on the exhale, we want to really pull up with the belly. Now notice I didn't just drop my head and call it a day. The head was the last thing to come into place. I really pulled up the belly and really reversed that smile. Let's flow back and forth 2 more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. And then we're going to inhale and bring that left leg forward into our lunge. And notice I did that without my hands. It's something that you can work towards to try to strengthen those hip muscles again. Once you have your lunge, and you could be using a chair for this, remember, inhale, you can lift just your right arm or both arms, your choice. Exhale, hands to the heart. And I'm going to come into my twist now. Inhale, nice and tall. Exhale, twist. And remember, the head doesn't twist first. I don't just turn the head. I turn the whole body, and the body turning is what brings the head around. Last breath. Inhale, lift the arms as much as you feel comfortable. Exhale, we're going to step into our forward fold. So your hands could be on blocks or on a chair. Inhale, keep the knees soft as you lift all the way to the sky. And exhale, hands to the heart. Time for a sip of tea, perhaps. Touch base with your breath. And we can come into that flow again, maybe changing it up a little bit. I'm going to grab a chair so I can show you what this flow looks like using a chair. But it's basically the same that we just did with a small variation. So I'm just going to grab a lawn chair. It'll do just fine for me today. So here we go. Actually, I'm going to put the chair at the other end of my mat. You're fine the way you are, but that way I can see you a little bit better. So hands come to the heart. We might take a moment to recall our intention. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, reach to the sun. And exhale, forward fold. Might be a little bit deeper as we're getting a bit more warmed up. Inhale, remember to keep your neck in line as you come to half lift. And exhale, take your right leg back this time into lunge. Inhale, lift the right arm, or you can lift both arms if you like. And exhale, we're going to twist over. And then we may drop the elbow to the outside of the knee. Now, if you're using a chair and you prefer not to do that, this is a wonderful alternative to that movement. And this time we'll hold the twist for 3 breaths. For a little bit of movement, however, you may want to, on the exhales, look back down at the floor. And on the inhales, let your gaze move a bit more towards the left shoulder. Last breath here. And then we're inhaling to step to table pose. Lift the chest, not the chin. Exhale into cat back. Repeating that 2 more times. And then stepping forward with the right leg to find lunge. Inhale, lift just your left arm or both arms if that's comfortable for you. And exhale, come into the twist to the other side. Remember, you can always have one hand on the chair and another hand wrapped around behind your back, which makes an excellent alternative. And then you'd be turning the head perhaps on the inhale and the exhale, just for 3 breaths. And on your next inhale, step that back leg forward, forward fold. And inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart. Taking a moment to kind of feel out the sun salutation work we've been doing. Coming into sun salutation B now. So starting at the front of the mat, and again, a chair is perfectly fine to use for this. When you're ready, take the hands to the heart. It's okay to reconnect to your intention over and over again. I don't know about you, but my monkey mind really draws me away from focus a lot. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale. This time, bring weight into the heels, push the hips back, keep the knees over the ankles, and lift the arms. Now, if lifting the arms feels like way too much work, you're welcome to keep the hands on the hips or at the heart. So this is our chair pose, Utkatasana. This is our inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, remember to lift the chest up, not the chin. And exhale, step the right leg back into your lunge. Inhale, lift the right arm or both arms, your choice. Exhale, taking the hands down. And while the hands are on the ground, we're going to step the left leg back with the right leg to find plank pose. This is what plank pose might look like if you're using the chair today. You can also have your knees on the ground if full plank on the ground is too much. We'll take an inhale, lift the chest forward, not the chin.
Exhale, soften the knees and push back to either prayer pose if your knees are on the ground, down dog, or I'm using the chair to help me find down dog. After one full cycle of breath here, lengthening the spine, inhale, bring your right knee forward and find lunge pose. So you might still have one hand on the chair if you need a little help with balance. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale to your chair pose. And exhale, hands to the heart. So let's go through that sun salutation B again. This time I'll work on the ground. If you prefer using a chair, you just keep doing what we just did. And I'm going to show the knees down version of plank pose in my flow this time. You can do full plank if that's in your practice, and full down dog if that's in your practice, of course. So from hands at the heart, recalling our intention of going with the flow. Inhale, lifting up into Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chest lifts first. Exhale, let's take the left leg back into lunge. Inhale, lift the arms if you're comfortable with that. Exhale, bring the hands to the chair or the floor as you adjust into plank pose. Inhale, chest lifts forward, not the chin. Exhale, back into down dog, or I'm choosing the prayer pose option. Take a full cycle of breath here. And then inhale, left foot forward for lunge. Exhale, bringing your feet together for forward fold. Inhale, Utkatasana. And exhale, hands to the heart. Taking a breath in, a breath out, and maybe a sip of tea. There's no need to rush through yoga practice. It's nice to engage all of the senses. May I invite you to turn sideways on your mat now? I'm going to remove my blanket so I don't get tripped up doing my flow from here. And you may want to have block or your chair close by at the top of your mat. So if balance is something that you kind of are struggling with at this current time, the chair is a great option. And I have a big, heavy lawn chair there that's not going to move. Start with your feet parallel, heels a little wider apart than your big toes, and ground into the earth. Lift and separate your toes and activate the muscles of your feet so you can really feel the connection you have through your feet to the earth. We talked about developing trust, and one of the ways that we can do that in our yoga practice is really ground into what's solid. And we've been feeling the effects of gravity ever since we came into being. So we know the earth is there. And when I practice in my outdoor garden, it really helps me to stay very grounded. The other thing I love about this garden, can you see the elephant shape behind me? My honey carved that elephant shape because he knows I have a real thing for Ganesh. And so just remembering and surrounding yourself with those pleasant kind of memories too. Family connections, good friends, happy memories. Those help us to stay grounded as well. So all of that can come into your practice if you like. Okay, we talked a lot also about strengthening hip muscles. So rather than just like turning your right toes out and maybe twisting your back a little bit in order to get there, we want to really focus on just turning the leg bone out. So it's a movement like that. And let me show you the difference. This or just the leg bone out. See the difference? My pelvis and my back kind of stay stable and strong. Just the leg turned out. I'm going to bend that knee. We're going to come into a warrior two flow here. And have your chair or your block pretty close by. Like mine's about almost 2 feet in front of me near the front of the mat. So I want to make sure I have it there to touch down when I'm ready to touch down. Okay, so let's flow a little bit. Ready? Inhale, take the arms out. Exhale, flow into side angle pose. And then inhale, flow back into reverse warrior. Exhale, come forward to the left leg, and inhale. And notice I'm keeping the bend in the front knee. I'm keeping my pelvis steady. I'm just really working in and out of the upper body. Let's do this 2 more times. And then I'm going to stay in the side angle pose for a moment and get ready to play. So I'm just going to tuck this arm either onto the hip or behind my back, wherever it's comfortable, so I don't have to think too much about my right side right now. Or my left side, sorry, left side. And then I'm going to play a little bit. So just kind of reach out. Can you touch your chair or your block easily? And then we're going to play a little bit. So I'm going to even look towards the chair and start to shift more weight onto this leg and lift that back leg up. And I'm going to go back and forth kind of like a seesaw. Yeah, kind of like that. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. And then at some point I might decide that I feel pretty confident, feel pretty bouncy in that standing leg, and I might lift this other leg, keep the foot flexed, push a lot of energy out this heel, really contract this glute, and open the whole body to the side of your mat. If you feel stable, you can lift up the top arm. And if you really want to have fun, lift up both arms and balance just on the one leg. So there's always somewhere to go, something to do if you're getting a little bit bored. Take a couple nice deep breaths in your half moon. You're balancing half moon pose. And then let's flow a little bit from here. So we're going to turn to our chair or to the blocks, and we're going to take an inhale here. Exhale, turn back down, drop that back foot way to the back of the mat, and find lunge pose. As you inhale, step the back foot forward, lift the chest, extend the spine. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, chair pose. And exhale, find mountain pose. So we had a little flow there. I'm going to move my chair to the other end of my mat just so I can see you better. Actually, I'll do it without the chair this time, and then we can kind of see the difference in how that looks. But you can just keep using your chair if you prefer to do things that way. So please turn to the side of your mat again. This time you should be looking the other way. So I'm still looking at you, but you should be looking at different scenery this time. Make your feet into a parallel position, the heels a little wider apart from the big toes. Lift and spread your toes. Get those foot muscles really activated so that you feel more grounded. And then without turning the whole body, just turn the left leg out. And bend the knee. And we found the warrior 2 shape with our legs on this side. And then let's flow. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Moving back and forth maybe for 2 more breaths. Just letting it flow, not worrying about the end point. Okay, and then we're staying here and we're getting ready to start to play. So you might want to have a block or the chair here, like we did before. And we're going to start, let this arm relax. We're going to start that little bit of a dance here. So hand coming to your prop, and then lifting and lowering like you're a human teeter-totter. And you might just be playing with this. Just kind of really strengthening the standing leg hip. And you're also strengthening this hip by activating gluteal muscles there. So it's really good work. But if you're ready, you can bring your hand to the prop, lift that back leg, keep that ankle flexed, keep this glute really engaged, and open right up into balancing half moon. Any stage in between standing and here is perfect. And let's hold here for 2 more nice deep breaths. And then we'll move into our little flow. So we're going to exhale, drop the hands to our props, step the back leg all the way back into lunge. As you exhale again, step the back foot forward, forward fold. Inhale, Utkatasana. And exhale, hands to the heart. Take a deep breath in and out. See if you can notice the effects of your flow. Do you feel more grounded? Do you feel like you can trust that things are going to work out? Maybe not the way I planned them, but maybe they're going to work out. I'm going to come down onto my belly to do a few practices from my belly. Let me show you what you can do if you don't care to weight bear on the front of your body. Maybe you've got a baby there. You can use a chair quite easily. So I'm just going to bring my chair into view a little bit more. And this would involve using a block right in between the shoulder blades, between the back of the chair and your body. So you can use a block. If you don't have a block, you can use a full box of Kleenex. That works. Or you can also take a blanket and fold it up, something like this, and hook that there. And you'll still get a wonderful sense of chest opening, because that's what we're going for. Okay? So that's the alternative if you're going to be using the chair. I'm going to move down to the floor and move into cobra pose on the floor. So let me just adjust the camera a little bit. Because I'm working on a hard surface, I prefer to have a little bit of cushioning underneath me. So I'm going to lay the blanket right the length of my mat. And come down onto the belly. Draw the hands really far back down your mat. So it feels quite awkward really at first. And then roll your thigh bones the same way as we did in mountain pose earlier. So the outside seams of your yoga pants are going more to the floor, and the inside seams of your yoga pants are rolling up. So there's a sense of the bones going like this. Keep your neck in line with the rest of your spine. And as you inhale, lift the chest up. So if you're in a chair, your chest is lifting up towards the sky. Exhale, release. For those of us on the ground, there's a sense of dragging the whole body forward as you lift up, so that the chest is actually reaching to the top edge of your mat. I'm not craning my head to look up. I'm keeping my neck in line with the rest of my spine. And that goes for if you're on the chair as well. You don't want to be looking up at the ceiling. You want to be looking in the same direction as the rest of the spine would suggest. You can keep moving, or you could hold the position for about 3 deep breaths. Really dragging your chest forward, opening the collarbones wide. Really using the full capacity of your lungs. And then release down, hands under the forehead. Or just sitting in your chair, you can remove your prop and taking a few deep breaths. And then if you're in a chair, could you transfer down to the ground with us? I'm just going to roll right over. Bend my knees. And just do something to stabilize the core after that cobra work. You know, lift the legs up towards the ceiling. They don't have to be perfectly straight. And then inhale, reach the arms as far back behind you as you can comfortably. And exhale, let the knees bend in,
push the arms firmly into the ground and wrap all those core muscles around the hips. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Let's just do this for 2 more breaths. And then release the feet to the floor. Deep breath in and out. And then let's do a little bit more to strengthen the hips. Step your feet closer together. Let the knees come apart. Now we're not trying to get the knees to the ground or anything. We're actually going to flow a little bit from here. And we're going to work to strengthen the hips. So here we go. On the exhale, I'm going to lift my knees just a little tiny bit. And on the inhale, I'm going to let the knees come back down. And this doesn't look like a very dramatic movement, but you might be getting a lot of shifting and shaking as your muscles get stronger. Moving slowly is really hard, so resist the urge to rush through this. On the next 3 breaths, we might bring the knees just a little bit closer together. And then all the way open on the inhale. So it's actually kind of good if you're finding this a bit of a shake and bake, as my friend Deb used to say, because that means you're really getting into the muscles that need to be strengthened. And then for the last 3 breaths while we do this, we can bring the legs right together, maybe give them a tiny squeeze, and then release and open all the way on the inhale. And then maybe we just leave the knees apart for a second. If this causes any pain or any feeling of strain through the groins, you can roll up blankets or get pillows from your sofa, whatever you've got. Put them underneath your legs so your legs don't flop out so much. We're only going to be here for about 3 breaths. Try to make these the deepest breaths that you've had in your whole practice today. And then this last exhale, really focus on letting go. And then we could bring the knees back up. And finish our practice with bridge pose. I'm going to use my block again in between my knees. This is a great way to keep the knees in line so that they don't splay out. We're done with splaying out our knees now. You are welcome to use a full box of Kleenex if you don't have a block, or a full roll of toilet paper. Those kind of common household items will really help to keep your knees in line. Now once we're into the bridge pose, we want to make sure we're gazing straight up at the ceiling, or the sky in my case, and not looking to the side. It's important to protect your neck that way. So let's start with the arms at our sides. Press firmly into your feet and the backs of your shoulders, and inhale, lift your hips. Exhale, lower back down. And inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Now you can keep flowing in and out of bridge pose. Well, here's a little variation you might be interested to try. So I'm inhaling up, and then I'm thinking about this spot right here in my body, right where the curve of my butt cheek flattens out into the back of my leg, right in that crease, and I'm pushing up from there with my muscles. Holding that in a real intention to keep strong through my hips. On an inhale, I might straighten out one leg, and exhale, lower. Inhale, straighten out the other knee, and exhale, lower. This is very demanding on the muscles in the backs of the legs and in the buttocks. So it's common for people to get cramping here. If that's your experience, just take a moment to come down, stretch out the backs of your legs, and maybe come back if you feel like you can. The other challenge that we can face is trying to keep the pelvis even to the floor as we move the legs back and forth. I'm going to do each leg one more time, really strengthening my hips. Last inhale, pushing up from that crease right there. And then exhale. Oh, that feels so lovely to feel the earth under the whole spine. Take a full breath in and out. Now I've taken my feet wider than my mat. You can take your feet as wide as you feel comfortable. And I'm going to take my arms out into cactus arms position. Now this might not be comfortable for you, so you can have them straight or closer down at your sides. I'm going to inhale here. Exhale, drop the knees one way as I let the head turn gently the other way. Inhale, come back up to center, and exhale the opposite side. There's no pressure to get the knees all the way to the ground or to turn your head in an overly aggressive way. This is meant to be a little unwinding movement. Hello, Natalie. She always shows up at Shavasana. Let's just do this for a couple more breaths. This is letting go into the flow. Letting go into this gentle rocking movement from side to side. Just easing out any tension. I think when I drop my knees over this way, that will even it out. I'm going to come back to center and move towards Shavasana. You may want to get some other blankets or pillows. I'm pretty comfortable because I have a blanket underneath my spine. I'm going to take a few moments just to feel the earth under my body. And feel the contrast of movement throughout my practice to stillness here in relaxation. Letting the stillness cocoon my whole being. Helping me to center into feelings of trust, relaxation, of being at ease, safe on my yoga mat. I might even deliberately bring in some of those pleasant memories that I referred to earlier. Memories of times when I felt safe, protected, valued, happy and content. Maybe it's a memory of a vacation. Or even a feeling I got when I looked at a certain picture in a magazine. And just deliberately and on purpose, bringing feelings of contentment, deliberately soothing my nervous system by saying, it's going to be okay. You got this. We're yogis. And anytime you feel it's difficult to, connect with these feelings of contentment and trust, see if you can go back to sensing the earth underneath you. Feel how solid that is. Feel the pull of gravity on your bones. And once you feel that cocoon of soft, quiet awareness, you could try the practice of deliberately bringing in a happy memory again. welcome to stay in your relaxation pose as long as you can today. I'm just going to make a few gentle movements here and adjust back up to the seat where we started class together today.
Let's finish our class with that same gesture that we did at the beginning. So we're really trying to open up to the support of the universe and develop that relationship of trust with the energy of the universe. And this time let's add the sacred sound of Om into our movement. Adding that sacred vibration of Om just might tune us in a little bit more to the natural flow. Here we go. Inhaling. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me today. Namaste.
I hope you can come to the garden and we can practice yoga again together soon.